Hello and welcome to my first World of Tanks Blitz on mobile. Today I will play the tutorial, but first I must choose a starter tank. This Soviet T-26 seems nice. The T-26 tank was a Soviet light infantry tank used during many conflicts of the interwar period and in World War II. It was a development of the British Vickers 6-ton tank and was one of the most successful tank designs of the 1930s until its light armor became vulnerable to newer anti-tank guns. The T-26 and BT were the main tanks of the Red Army's armored forces during the interwar period. The T-26 was the most important tank of the Spanish Civil War and played a significant role during the Battle of Lake Kazan in 1938, as well as in the Winter War in 1939 to 1940. Though nearly obsolete by the beginning of World War II, the T-26 was the most numerous tank in the Red Army's armored force during the German invasion of the Soviet Union in June 1941. Now with the history lesson out of the way, let's enjoy how bad I am at this game. I am a very new player with no experience. I apologize. Well, at least the tutorial's helpful. I'm sorry brother, but it has to be done. Do I know what I'm doing? Absolutely not. Do I think I survived? Of course it's a tutorial, it's impossible to die.
Enemy is hit.
Yes, I can see that he's hit. Thanks for stating the obvious.
Punched right through their armor. Enemy destroyed.
Yay, I did it. My first kill. Wait, is that a... Although the vehicle had originally been designed as a stopgap while larger, more advanced tanks were developed, it nonetheless went on to play an important role in the early years of World War II. During the Polish and French campaigns, the Panzer II was the most numerous tank in the German panzer divisions at the beginning of the war. It was used in both North Africa against the Western Allies and on the Eastern Front against the Soviet Union. The Panzer II was supplanted by the Panzer III and IV medium tanks by 1940-1941. By the end of 1942, it had been largely removed from front-line service and it was used for training and on secondary fronts. The turrets of the then obsolete Panzer IS and Panzer IIs were reused as gun turrets on specially built defensive bunkers, 3 particularly on the Atlantic Wall. Production of the tank itself ceased by January 1944, but its chassis remained in use as the basis of several other armored vehicles, chiefly self-propelled artillery and tank destroyers such as the Wesp and Marder II respectively. Well, I can aim with a scope. Let's snipe this sucker.
We didn't even scratch them.
Wait, what? How is this happening?
That one didn't go through.
I guess I have no choice than to reposition and take aim. There we go. Let's snipe this sucker. Wait, what? How did I miss?
Nice shot. We finished.
Yay, I hit its rear. The cruiser tank, also called cavalry tank, or fast tank, was a British tank concept of the interwar period for tanks designed as modernized armored and mechanized cavalry, as distinguished from infantry tanks. Cruiser tanks were developed after medium tank designs of the 1930s failed to satisfy the Royal Armored Corps. The cruiser tank concept was conceived by Giffard LeQuesson Martel, who preferred many small light tanks to swarm an opponent, instead of a few expensive and unsatisfactory medium tanks. Light cruiser tanks, for example the cruiser Mki, carried less armor and were correspondingly faster, whilst heavy cruiser tanks, such as the cruiser Mk2, had more armor and were slightly slower. I got a bad feeling about this. I'm not good with moving targets.
Enemy armor is damaged.
Oh boy. Feel free to give advice and/or criticism in the comments. Finally, we did it. Interesting. Ah yes, my first battle. Do I know what I'm doing? Absolutely not. I might just end up charging like the Japanese. The M2 light tank, officially light tank, M2, was an American pre-World War II light tank which saw limited use during World War II. The most common model, the M2A4, was equipped with one 37mm, 1.5 in, M5 gun and 5.30 cal M1919 Browning machine guns. Also its armor so thin that my tinfoil might end up being capable of making its armor. Well, I'm glad that's over with. I am so bad at this game. Well, another one.
Another one. Another one.
Okay, I understand, go away.
Time to roll out.
I got 2 shots that I could have blown into its rear, but I didn't. I feel bad for stealing that kill.
We got 'em. Punched right through their armor. Enemy armor is destroyed.
We got that out of the way. Let's see. I think I did well. I got 2 shots that I could have blown into its rear, but I didn't. Seriously, another one? Whatever, let's do this. How is this happening?
Didn't penetrate their armor. Penetration. Enemy armor is damaged.
Just to let you know, mister, I'm outnumbered and you've got your rear exposed. Why are you running?
Enemy vehicle destroyed. We hit them hard.
Nice. The BT tanks, Russian.
Быстроходный танк, БТ.
Romanized, by Strokhudny tank, lit. Fast-moving tank or high-speed tank. 1. Were a series of Soviet light tanks produced in large numbers between 1932 and 1941. They were lightly armored, but reasonably well armed for their time, and had the best mobility of all contemporary tanks. The BT tanks were known by the nickname Betka from the acronym, or its diminutive Batushka. 2. The successor of the BT tanks was the famous T-34 medium tank, introduced in 1940, which would replace all of the Soviet fast tanks, infantry tanks, and medium tanks in service. Okay, here we go. And if you're still watching, I would appreciate if you would like, share and subscribe to this channel. Thank you. The Panzerkampfwagen 35T, commonly shortened to Panzer 35T, or abbreviated as PZKPFW-35T, was a Czechoslovak-designed light tank used mainly by Nazi Germany during World War II. The letter T stood for Chechist, German, Czech. In Czechoslovak service, it had the formal designation Lehký tank Vzor 35, light tank model 35, but was commonly referred to as the LTVZ 35 or LT 35. And I don't think I'll make it in this one. Fortunately, I got 3 of them teaming on me, meaning my team of 5 is dealing with only 3. I won't die in vain. Okay, now I have to choose a new tank from a new nation. Considering I just charged at the enemy, I think I'll choose this tank. The Type 95 Hargo.
95式軽戦車ハ号
Kyugo-shiki Keisensha Hargo, also known as the Kego 5, was a light tank used by the Empire of Japan during the Second Sino-Japanese War, at Namonhan against the Soviet Union, and in the Second World War. It proved sufficient against infantry but, like the American M3 Stuart light tank, was not designed to combat other tanks. 6. Approximately 2,300 were produced. 1. Making it the most numerous Japanese armored fighting vehicle of the Second World War. And with that, let's end our video. See you in the next one.